Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Vaer D7 Arctic Swiss diver. Vaer are a microbrand based in America. They design their watches in Los Angeles and they produce the watches in America and also Switzerland. So this watch is available in two versions. The D5 is the American made version and that is $499, and the D7 you're looking at here is the Swiss made version, which is $799 respectively. Both versions are available from vaerwatches.com. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the Vaer D7 Arctic Swiss diver comes in a watch box which is protected by this white cardboard outer sleeve. This is the watch box itself, as you can see, very nicely executed with the Vaer brand logo on the lid. One removes the lid and inside there are two cardboard boxes, as you can see, which are lined with foam. So the watch head comes on a vintage tropic style rubber strap, and it also comes with a stainless steel bracelet. Both the vintage style tropic rubber strap and also the stainless steel bracelet have quick release spring bars, so it's easy to exchange the rubber strap for the bracelet without a spring bar tool. So very nice presentation and I like it. With regards to the other items, this is the owner's instruction manual. Clear, concise diagrams, high definition pictures, and the instructions are also concise. It details every aspect of operating the D7 Arctic Swiss diver, including the movement used, which is the Sellita SW200-1 automatic. So the watch comes on a vintage tropic rubber strap, as you can see. The buckle and tang is signed with the Vaer brand logo engraved to a high standard. Good heavy gauge of metal, so it's going to be durable. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. Two keepers which slide on the strap. And I really like this style of vintage tropic rubber strap because it does match the aesthetic of this being a vintage inspired piece. As you can see, the underside is branded with Vaer, and 20mm is a good lug width because it means that one can easily change this piece for alternative straps. One detail I like is the use of stainless steel quick release spring bars, so one doesn't need a spring bar tool to change the bracelet for the strap. I like the textured grid formation to the underside, and this is very practical because, as you can see, it's fully perforated with holes. That allows for sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist. So these tropic style straps are very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, or in hot weather, because they allow sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist due to the air circulation of the perforations. The other benefit is if one uses this as a dive piece, which is its intended purpose, it allows for water to wick away from the wrist through the perforations and the grid formation, as you can see. So it's a very well executed vintage tropic style strap. I'll show you the other side to it. As you can see, it follows the vintage tropic style strap formation. Very aesthetically pleasing. Nice and flexible. It feels stiffer than a silicone rubber strap, so I think it's going to be durable. It feels more like vulcanized rubber, which is slightly stiffer than silicone rubber, but more durable, and it doesn't require any breaking in. Although it's stiffer than silicone, it is soft and supple, so it's going to be very comfortable to wear for long periods of time. I like the fact it's thicker around the spring bar, and as you can see, it features the quick release spring bar as I've discussed. So it's a very well made, high quality vintage style tropic rubber strap, and I think it's a credible alternative to the stainless steel bracelet which comes with the watch. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Vaer D7 Arctic Swiss diver, and as I've discussed, it's available in two versions. The American made version is the D5 and this is the D7, which is the Swiss made version. So this watch is powered by the Sellita SW200-1 automatic. We have a 39mm case diameter. The bezel diameter is 40mm, so there's a slight overhang of the bezel over the 39mm case, so it does wear like a 40mm, but the actual case diameter is 39. We have a 46.3mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 14.1mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push flip-lock clasp, and as you can see, the 2-button push flip-lock clasp is signed to a high standard with the Vaer brand logo engraved. Now, I'm often critical of brands only having 3 micro adjustment holes in their flip lock class. Credit where credit's due, Vaer have made the correct decision because they have 4 micro adjustment holes, and as you can see, I have moved the end of the bracelet up to position 3 in the micro adjustments, and that means it's easy to resize the bracelet to get the correct fit. One doesn't need to add or remove links. One can simply use the 4 micro adjustment holes to fine tune the bracelet length. The bracelet clasp is well executed. There's a scallop to fit one's thumbnail or fingernail underneath to flip the flip lock. Solid milled stainless steel interior made from 316L grade. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks. Finished to a high standard. The quality of the luster of the brushed satin finishing is very good. So it's a very well executed 2-button push flip lock. Nice positive click to it. Nice positive secondary click to the flip lock. And I'm really pleased that they have used 4 micro adjustment holes rather than 3. The bracelet reminds me of the Omega Planet Ocean style bracelet because it has a curved profile to the links, and they're very comfortable against the wrist. Brushed satin finish to the top side, underside and flanks, and we've got screw pins. So again, it's nice to see no cost cutting measures. They didn't use the cost cutting measure of push pins. They have used screw pins, which again is the correct choice. Beautiful luster to the 316L grade stainless steel. So Vaer deserve full credit for producing a very good looking bracelet, but also very well made. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a double dome sapphire crystal with blue tinted AR coating on the underside. And as you can see, the blue tinted AR coating does an excellent job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the applied indices and also the mil-sub sword hands. The white second hand contrasts very well with a matte black dial, and I really like the use of the mil-sub style hands. So the case shape is like an homage to the Omega Seamaster 300 Military. It has that Omega twisted lug profile to it with a large mirror polished chamfer running the full length of the case. So I like that Omega Seamaster 300 Military case shape. It's very aesthetically pleasing. 39mm is a good size for it. But Vaer have made the correct decision because it's not a direct homage to the Omega Seamaster 300 Military. They have designed their own dial and they deserve credit for that. Also, the ceramic bezel insert is their own design. It's not a copy of a Rolex or an Omega ceramic bezel insert. Again, it's unique to Vaer. The mil-sub style sword hands, which also look like Rolex 5517 mil-sub sword hands, they work very well with the dial layouts, which has perfect symmetry due to the lack of a date complication. So I like the perfect symmetry of the dial, and I also like the patina Superluminova, which is X1C1 Superluminova. It's well matched. The colour tone is peach on the ceramic bezel inserts, the applied indices and also the mil-sub style hands. So the colour tone of the patina loom is very well matched on the bezel, the hands and also the dial, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. So let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel, as one would expect. It's got a light bezel action. It feels lighter than a Steinhardt Ocean 139 if you're familiar with that, and I like it. Nice audible sound to the 120 clicks. It feels even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. No lateral side-side play whatsoever, which is good. No back play whatsoever, which is also good. So let's check the alignment. Perfect. The loomed triangle on the ceramic bezel insert aligns perfectly with the triangle at 12 o'clock on the dial. So no lateral side-side play, no back play, perfect alignment. This is a very well executed bezel, and if you like 120 click unidirectional bezels to have a light bezel action, you'll find this to be very satisfying. The attention to detail on the 316L grade stainless steel bezel is very good. Brushed satin finish to the scallops on the teeth, but if you look closely at the underside, there's an undercut on the bezel which is very aesthetically pleasing. And I like the fact that it's fully mirror polished. The undercut all the way around the bezel is mirror polished to a flawless standard. And this is something one doesn't often see, especially at this mid-tier price point of $799 US. Mirror polishing to the undercut of a bezel. And the undercut really does make it very aesthetically pleasing, but it's also very grippy and tactile. One can grip the scallops to the teeth of the bezel with one's index finger and thumb very well. It's a very grippy bezel, even when wearing a glove or when one's hand is wet. So it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's also practical. The scallops to the teeth aren't sharp, they don't dig into the index finger and thumb, but they are very grippy. So Vaer deserve full credit for producing a very well executed bezel, and I love the mirror polishing to the undercuts. It's just absolutely beautifully done, and it complements the mirror polished chamfer which runs the full length of the case with that Amiga Seamaster 300 military style case shape. Right, so let's test the crown action. Coin edge finish, solid 316L grade stainless steel crown, signed with the Vaer brand logo, as you can see, signed to a high standard, and it's got a nice brushed satin finish to it. So let's test the action. Absolutely silky smooth. This is 10 out of 10 bezel execution. The Sellita SW200-1 automatic has a characteristic pop which pushes the winding stem out of the movement. So in the first position, it's the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the movement, topping it up to its maximum 40 hours. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. Absolute pleasure to manually wind the SW200-1. As you'll know from my previous reviews, the SW200-1 is one of my personal favourites. Now, it does have a phantom date setting position because the SW200-1 is a date complication piece. So pulling it out to the first click is the phantom date setting position. Pulling it out to the second click hacks the movement. If you look closely at the contrasting white second hand with arrowhead tip, you can see that the movement is now hacked. I've now stopped the second hand dead. So it's possible to set the movement precisely to the second. It's now in the time setting position, absolutely silky smooth. Nice light resistance to the SW200-1. It's an absolute pleasure to set the time. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So this is a 4 Hz movement, so it's got a nice smooth sweep to the second hand, and I really like the arrowhead tip to the white second hand. The white contrasting second hand is clearly legible, and I like the arrowhead. It's very nice to look at. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is outstanding crown execution. Vaer deserve full credit for this. They have got the crown execution correct. Silky smooth, good interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. So the screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters, which is very good. I'll show you the screw down exhibition case back. Now, the screw down exhibition case back is glazed with sapphire crystal, and unusually Vaer have elected to add blue tinted AR coating to the underside of the sapphire crystal, and that's nice. It does a good job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the flat sapphire crystal. Now, they could have used the cost-cutting measure of using mineral crystal, as many micro brands do, to save on production costs, and they deserve credit because they've used sapphire crystal on the front of the piece, double dome sapphire crystal with AR coating on the front, and we've got a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the reverse. So the screw down exhibition case back is brushed concentric satin finished, nice milled slots in it, and it's engraved to a high standard with the specification. And it's absolutely beautiful, nice low profile screw down exhibition case back, which provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters of water resistance. It does a good job of displaying the Sellita SW200-1. I like the use of a signed rotor with the Vaer brand emblem. And we've also got blued screws which add decoration to the SW200-1. So it's nice to look at the movement through the sapphire crystal. Now, looking at the end links, they are finished to a high standard, and I like the fact they use quick release spring bars. As you can see, there is a quick release at both ends of the spring bars, so one doesn't need a spring bar tool to remove the bracelet from the head of the piece and fit the vintage Tropic rubber style strap that I showed you. And I like it. I like the use of quick release spring bars. The end links are a good tight fit to the case. So I'll give you a wrist shot. Now, I have sized the bracelet. As discussed, I have used the 4 micro adjustment holes. I've moved it to position 3 of 4. And as you'll know from my previous reviews, I like to size my watches loose so I can fit an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. That is the correct sizing method. So this will fit up to an 8-inch wrist with no difficulties whatsoever. As you can see, I'm on position 3 of 4 and it fits my 8-inch wrist, no problems. So if you're a collector with a 6 to 7-inch wrist, this will fit you to perfection. The 39mm head of the piece will fit you very well, and it does wear more like a 40 due to the 40mm bezel, which has a 1mm overhang over the 39mm head of the piece. I love the taper of the twisted lugs as per the Amiga Seamaster Military, and it's got a beautiful case shape. I love the mirror polished chamfer to the edge of the case, and also they've made the correct decision, 20mm lug width and the 20mm bracelet tapering down to the 2-button push flip lock clasp is the correct proportions. The lug-to-lug measurement is 46.3, so if you have a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, you will enjoy the 46.3mm lug-to-lug measurement. Nice curved profile to the undercut of the case. If you look at the profile of the lugs, they curve and wrap around the wrist very well, so very snug fit. I like the flat sapphire crystal because it means it's very comfortable to wear the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. Now, this will also fit you equally well if you're a collector with a 7 to 8 inch wrist. Really, they've got the proportions of this piece done to perfection. Normally, I would say 48mm is the perfect lug-to-lug measurement, and I would say that 46.3 is too short. But due to this being a 39mm head of the piece, the proportions do work very well. The 20mm lug width perfectly balances the 39mm head of the piece, and the 40mm bezel with a 1mm overhang works very well. I love the profile of the double dome sapphire crystal. It perfectly matches the concave profile of the bezel. Absolutely gorgeous. I love the lip which projects above the top edge of the sapphire crystal. It catches the light beautifully. And the blue tinted AR coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the double dome sapphire crystal. Feel good factor is outstanding, comfort level is outstanding. Now the thing to note is it's 147 grams, which is the perfect heft. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider circa 150 grams to be the sweet spot for a 39 or 40mm piece. At 147 with all the links in the bracelet, it is incredibly well balanced, it's very comfortable, and it's just the right amount of wrist presence and heft to feel like quality, but it's not top heavy and uncomfortable to wear for long periods of time. So absolutely gorgeous to look at on wrist, and the quality of the finishing to the bezel with that mirror polished undercut and the mirror polished chamfer to the edge of the case is just absolutely gorgeous to look at. Right, so let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So this piece uses X1C1 Superluminova, which is top grade Swiss Superluminova. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is 10 out of 10 top grade Swiss Superluminova. X1C1 Superluminova really is the very best. It's similar in tone to the green tone of C3, but the X1C1 has a whiter tone to it. It has a brighter exciter in it. And as you can see, looking at the mill sub style sword hands and also the loomed ceramic bezel insert, you can see that the loom is glowing incredibly brightly, brighter than C1 Superluminova. X1C1 is a slightly whiter tone, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. So I like the symmetry of the dial with the applied indices, which are loomed with the patina Superluminova. Good colour match between the loom used on the ceramic bezel insert, the mill sub style sword hands, and also the indices on the dial. The green tone matches very well, and also it's glowing brightly, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. Now, minor criticism is I would prefer had they fully loomed the ceramic bezel insert. I would like the white Arabic numerals to be patina loom as per the dial and the hands. I think it would look better if they had fully loomed the ceramic bezel insert with the same X1C1 Superluminova. So include the white Arabic numerals rather than just painting them white, because that would add to the symmetry of the ceramic bezel insert, and I think it would look more aesthetically pleasing. But the quality of the Superluminova used on the ceramic bezel insert, the dial in the hands, is very good. As you can see, it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. I like the arrowhead tip to the white contrasting second hand. As you can see, one can clearly see the arrowhead second hand sweeping around the dial. So clearly legible, good orientation, and I really like it. Right, so let's discuss the movement used, because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. You'll all be familiar with the Sellita SW200-1. It's one of my personal favourite movements. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse Swiss movement, and it's the correct choice for the D7 Arctic Swiss diver. So the SW200-1 has 26 joules. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which is useful complications, and it has a 40-hour power reserve, which is perfectly acceptable. Now, the stated accuracy of the standard grade of SW200-1 is plus or minus 12 seconds to plus or minus 30 seconds per day, so a rather wide accuracy range. However, the SW200-1 can be regulated in 5 positions to far better accuracy than plus or minus 12 to plus or minus 30. Credit where credit's due, Vaer are regulating their SW200-1 movements to a very high standard. This one is running consistently at plus 5 seconds per day, which is excellent, bearing in mind that this is a mid-tier price point piece at $799 US. So plus 5 seconds per day with an SW200-1, it really is an excellent movement. I really like the movement. It's reliable, it's well proven, it's accurate. The build quality, the quality control are all outstanding. And it's nice to have a sapphire glazed exhibition case back to view the movements through the exhibition case back, and I really like it. So correct choice by Vaer, and I really like the SW200-1. It really is an outstanding Swiss movement. Right, so lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So, as I've discussed, this watch is available in two versions. The D5 is the American-made version, and that is $499 US. And the D7, which is the Swiss-made version you're looking at here, which is available for $799 US. So $799 US equates to €706. So I'm going to base the value of this piece on the Swiss-made version we're looking at here at €706. Yes, it is excellent quality. The specification is absolutely loaded. Double dome sapphire crystal with blue tinted AR coating, fully loomed ceramic bezel insert, loomed with X1 C1 Super Luminova, screw down crown, screw down exhibition case back, 200 meters of water resistance, and the quality control, the build's quality, the finishing throughout are all excellent. However, there are some areas which there are room for improvement. I like the 4 micro adjustment holes, but I would like to see a heavier gauge of metal used in the flip block clasp as per the Steinhardt Ocean 139. The flip block clasp is well executed, but it would be further enhanced if the gauge of metal were heavier. Now, the other improvement I would like to see Vaer make is to change the ceramic bezel insert to fully loomed. As you can see, the Arabic numerals 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50 are white paints. I would like to see them change that and inlay the engraved Arabic numerals, which are white painted, to using the X1 C1 Super Luminova as per the other hour markers, because I think it would look better if the white Arabic numerals were also peach coloured patina lume to match the other hour markers, and also in the dark they would glow, and therefore the performance would be better because it would have better symmetry. So these are the minor things that I want you to consider. I wouldn't describe them as negatives, but I think there is room for improvement. The ceramic bezel insert and a heavier gauge of metal used on the 2-button push flip block clasp. So I'm going to say that it is excellent quality, and I'm going to describe the value as good. So why do I say the value is good and not excellent value? Well, in the mid-tier, this faces some stiff competition, and the direct competitor to this piece is the Steinhardt Ocean 139, which you'll all be familiar with, a piece that I've previously reviewed on my channel. Now, the specification is similar, and the price point of this piece is significantly higher. It's €706, which equates to $799 US. The Steinhardt Ocean 139 is €430, so it's significantly less. It uses the Sellita SW200-1 and it has very similar specifications: sapphire crystal with AR coating, ceramic bezel insert, and a very similar bracelet. The main difference is that the Steinhardt Ocean 139 doesn't have a sapphire crystal glazed exhibition case back, but however the rest of the specification is very similar. So Vaer really do face some very stiff competition from Steinhardt, and bear in mind they are also a micro brand and they are producing Swiss-made pieces like this, the D7, which is the Swiss-made version of the Artic Swiss diver. So that's something that Vaer need to consider. I think they should slightly reduce the price from €706, which is $799 US, to be more competitive with the Steinhardt Ocean 139 at €430. Now, I appreciate it's difficult for them to do that because they're a microbrand based in America, and of course the production costs both in America and Switzerland are very high. The labour cost is very high, and therefore the production cost is high and the profit margin is reduced. This isn't a Chinese made piece, it's made in Switzerland, so therefore it costs a lot more than making the watch in China. So I am mindful of that, and I would say that a slight reduction in the price would make it more competitive, but however that may not be viable for Vaer to do as a microbrand. So I'm going to declare it excellent quality, and I'm going to declare the value as good. I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Vaer D7 Arctic Swiss Diver. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.